Good evening and welcome to Pain to Power Leading with Love. I am Maria, your host, also known as Brown Girl Interrupting, and we are launching season 2, episode 1, and I am so excited for my special guest tonight. And I just want to kind of, frame again, my purpose of this show is to take the stories of pain and the dynamic experiences that individuals have and how they have turned it into power and led with love. And today, as I'm starting this, and this week as I've been thinking about this, so much of how we lead has to do with the choices that we make. And I've been struggling with choices lately. Kind of going back and forth. Sometimes I want to be kind, and sometimes I really just want to be mean. Sometimes I want to just let go, and sometimes I'm holding on to a lot of feelings and emotions. And so I think every day we have these choices. And as we think about the idea of this journey of pain to power, it's a matter of making the choices that are going to lead us towards our peace and our evolution of self and heal ourselves on this journey. And so I am grateful that you are making the choice to be in here today. Welcome, Tahisha. Thank you for being here with us today. I am welcome to all of our iRant Network fans, our Union fans, everyone here in the chat. I am so excited to start again. And today we are starting with the amazing and dope artist, singer, songwriter, producer, visual artist, and the co-host of the podcast Random Thoughts. I can't say enough about this lady. She's amazing. And I actually, in fact, was just in the chat of her podcast, Random Thoughts, and her co-host Lyric spoke about her as an aura, and he is not wrong. Welcome, Stephanie Gayle.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome,
how you doing,
Stephanie.
Maria? Good evening.
Great. I am great. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm doing well. I'm having some coffee because I'm usually asleep by now. But yeah, I'm starting a new schedule. So
I hear you and I get it, and you got some fans already in our
hey,
chat here.
One of the randos who came to support. I appreciate it.
I love the support. And hopefully you'll support and keeps following all of us, right? So welcome. Yes. I'm so happy to see you and happy to have you here. Like, this is such an honor to have you as the first guest of season 2.
I'm happy to be the first guest. I'm honored to be the first guest on season 2 of this show. It's a great show.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate it. And I have to say, like, your support has been so solid from the beginning. Like, I mean, I know that, like, as soon as we connected, you were in the chats. You have been following me on Instagram and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And we've connected. And this is great because now we have an opportunity, because I want to know more about your story and share that with our community. So first off,
hey, everyone, all the randos out there. It's wonderful.
What's up, Virginia Slim? See, we got a lot of overlap in here. It's going to be a good night. Good night with lots of good people, I can see.
I think so.
So let's just start off with just tell us a little bit just about your endeavors, who you are. I named a couple of different things, but before we get into the depth of all of it, let the audience know a little bit about Stephanie Gayle and the aura that she has.
You're an aura
laughing today. We're going to be laughing and smiling and a little bit of, probably some emotional moments. We're having it all today.
That clip that Mr. M is showing, shout out to producer Mr. M. This clip was, speaking of emotional moments, this was a very emotional moment. When I realized that the crowd was doing that, because none of them had heard that song before I was performing Vulnerable. This was at the Music Hall of Williamsburg in Williamsburg, New York, in Brooklyn. And that moment was just so special to me because I didn't realize how much of a movement that song could possibly be. And at that moment, it was just something that resonated with everyone in that crowd. It was like 1,500 people in the crowd, and yeah, it's a
That's
big
so
venue.
cool.
Yeah, and it wasn't even my show. It's a tribute to Nujabes. So it was part of that tour. And I was doing the tour with Substantial, my mentor, and
Mhm.
the one of the main performers was Shingo too, in his band. So yeah, I was performing Vulnerable, and I had my eyes closed in the beginning because I get into that song. That song is very personal to me, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I noticed all these lights just lighting up in the room, and it's just
Mhm.
like if you see the entire, that's the second half of the video, but there's a first half. I have to find it, but during the song, once I realized that the lights are on for me, I just like my you could hear me choking up.
Mm.
I was just holding back
Mm.
tears. And it was just, yeah, that was just a really, really special night. I had a lot of people coming up to me, like just confiding in me, hugging me. It was just a beautiful experience. So I guess as far as your question though, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, also visual artist. I actually attended the Cooper Union for the Advancement of Science and Art back in 2000. That's when I moved to New York,
Mhm.
partially for that, partially to pursue a music career. But fine arts is also one of my areas of expertise. So I put my heart and soul into all things creative. I do a lot of things. I'm a person of many hats. I have my own, company, 12 Sign Entertainment. Um, excuse me. I lead a lot of things. So, um, yeah, that's where my heart is. My music and my heart.
And I love that you connect. It is your heart, right? And I think your heart is also what connects you to your fans. It's clear, right? Like that
Yes.
moment and the way that that impacted you, but I imagine also the way it impacted others. Because we're going to talk a little bit more about that song "Vulnerable," but that is one that resonates
Mhm.
so deep, right? And I think we talked about, and you've shared that that's one of your really like that. That's the song that has hit a lot of people. Taisha says, I cried so hard when I first heard Vulnerable. It's a very captivating song. It definitely touched my soul. Great quality music video. Congratulations, Stephanie.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
yes, 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 yes. I
And my
echo all of that.
and my just a note, my co-host, one of the co-hosts of Random Thoughts, which is a show that I do earlier in the day. My co-host Eric Ramos, famous Ramos. Yeah, he's the one that directed the Vulnerable video. Um,
Oh, nice.
yeah. He and
Nice.
I go way
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, the video. I mean, so look, it, and y'all will all see this. Hopefully, you go to the links down here. You have got to check out her music. It is amazing. It will hit you. Just your voice is angelic and warm, and like it's everything. It's everything, and the layers and the dynamics. Like I mean, and then your lyrics are so deep and so powerful. And I mean, I think that it's an experience. Listening to your music is an experience, and I'm sure that's probably what you've heard from others as well. Is that but to add on the visual of the video, it's just everything. So you
Yeah.
are dope and aura and talented as can be. But you are also someone who has done all of this through a lot of challenges and pain in your life.
Yes.
It's not all come easily or without, barriers. So we're kind of gonna go. Let's go there a little bit, right? So, I always ask everybody when they come on the show because I think that what we view as pain and what we view as power and that connection to them both is so different for everyone. And I'm always want to know for you, what does that mean when you take pain and you turn it into power?
Um, I when you take pain or trauma that you've been through in your life, like even with that song with Vulnerable, if you listen to the entire album that it's from, which is Songs About V, which is my first LP, um, even that album was created from pain. I, initially when I came up with the concept, it was actually I was actually in love with the person um, that is the subject of the album, and I was very much in love with her, and I thought she was in love with me too at the time. And then things changed and the dynamics changed, and it took a very somber, dark turn, and I actually went through a bout with depression at that time. And it took me about a year and a half to kind of process and go through the depression and the pain that I was going through. Um, and once I did, and I was still working on the album at the time, but it had taken on a different tone because of what had happened between us. Um, but I also wanted to wait until I was in a place where I was healed enough to process it all and really um, understand what was happening. I wanted to look at it through through 2020 hindsight kind of lens. So there's this pastor, Stephen Furtick, that said you shouldn't talk when you have a gash or an open wound. You should talk about your experience once your scar is healed. You
Mm.
can show people the scars and tell them the story about how that scar came to be. you know um so, and that's basically what I did. So when I created the album, I had a better understanding of what had happened, and that helped me to create the story arc
Mhm.
within the album. So I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to take you on that journey and tell you the story of our love, how it came to be, how it fell apart, and then at the end of it, inform you how I found new love within myself.
Mm.
So you listen to the album, and it starts off as a love story, and it is overall, but it's a love story about loving yourself and finding the peace and love within yourself. So I did so with it from that pain. I created this album that ended up touching the lives of so many people around me. So excuse me. And every time I introduce the album to people, like I always get, I'm very happy when people are like, "Yo, that album is amazing!" Like, how come I didn't hear about this album before? Like, it's I love touching people in that way. So, and with Vulnerable in particular, I'm happy that I was able to take that pain and turn it into something beautiful. Like I
Mm.
created something beautiful out of it, because that song is about my depression. It's about the process of it, what I was going through, and just looking in the mirror and telling myself you're gonna be okay. This
Mm.
is just it's a bump in the road. It's a rough patch, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. You'll get through this. So yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, though. I think the idea that you were able to sit and reflect on it and then create something that helped tell the story but
Mhm.
also helped heal you, right?
Right.
And that is the power. The power is that healing of yourself has helped so many other people. And I don't know if you imagine that to come from it. I mean, is that something that you anticipated, that the way that people would react to it?
I honestly didn't. I didn't realize how many people would really resonate with that particular song. Um yeah, anytime I perform it, I like I said, someone comes up to me and they tell me, that song is amazing. Like I went through a similar bout. I deal with depression, I deal with anxiety, so on and
Mhm.
so forth. And it listening to that song, like, reminds me that I will be okay, and that I'm not alone. I think that's the biggest takeaway too. Listening to that song, people realize, oh, there are other people out here that go through the same kinds of, emotions, that go through the same kinds of trials and tribulations. And, you know, to know that, there are other people that are feeling that, and there's someone out here expressing that, is, you know, that helps people get through. What's up, Lordville?
What's
What's
up?
going on?
Welcome. Um, yeah, I mean, but you know what? Like, so it's interesting, and I'm just going to ask you because I think for me, I know like that also was like a new evolution of creativity and healing, almost. And hearing other people say that, like it's like it almost continues. I love what you said about like not speaking until the gash is healed.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm not very good at it, but I liked it.
Yeah. I
I'm
can't,
not,
like I
but
said, I can't
my
take
way
credit.
is different. My way is different. I think that part of my story is that I speak when I speak. But I think that but there's that like it's never healing is never a one step thing, right? It's all these layers that kind of build on each other, and I'm wondering like is the layer of your audience's reaction another piece of your own healing that's come through from that?
Yeah, for sure. I think with that song in particular, I've created like a small community around it, and it's at a place now where I have certain fans um, that hit me up in my DMs. They're comfortable enough with me to, just they ask me how my day's going. I ask them how their day's going. We check in with each other. Um, we have those moments, like, where we have conversations, and they'll confide in me about certain things. And if allowed, I'll add my input, or offer my perspective on a situation. um
Yeah,
yeah, we've gotten that close, like, to the point where you know we're pretty much family. And that is a beautiful outcome. As a beautiful result from the things that I've put out. And there are times where I question, like, is this song good enough? And or are
mm,
people really gonna, are they really gonna resonate with this, or really understand what I'm saying? And you have those questions, you have those doubts, and then you just put it out anyway. And you leave it up to the universe and the divine forces to deliver whatever the result's going to be.
yeah,
I just try my best to be honest with my perspective and my heart. I put as much as I can into the work I do. I don't want to give people half of my effort. So I think that what's coming back to me is a result of what I put out, as far as putting my heart and my soul and everything, on the table there, and
that's
into my
beautiful.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the community is huge. I think, right? Like that again goes to the leading and the way that you lead, that people feel that comfort level to be able to reach out to you, to start these, to feel that you're a safe place to even talk to. I think is it says a lot about you as an individual, right? There's you as an artist, and there's you as an individual, and there's the intersection of it all too, though. And with that, I mean, when I was looking on your website, you mentioned that this album in particular was transformational for you, and it was big, and it was your relationship with a woman that you really put out there in the world. So I want to talk a little bit about just in terms of your own identity and your sexuality, like what has that journey been for you in this understanding of self, in your music, and in your pain to power journey?
Um, my sexuality and coming into understanding it has been um it's been it's been a journey for sure. It started very young. I was maybe it's I guess when I was conscious, maybe 3 4 years old. I was aware that I was different from the other kids around me. Like I immediately I was noticing the young ladies around me, and I noticed that I was becoming attracted to them. I remember like one of the first people I liked was this. She must have been about, I think she was maybe 14, 15, and I was like 4 or 5 years old, and her name was Jada too. I
Oh, you went for the
remember her
older
name.
women.
Yeah. I was just like immediately I was just like, oh man, she's cute. I don't know why I like her, but I do. But yeah, it started from there, and yeah, I just began, me being the inquisitive person that I am. I just started asking questions and just examining myself. And that's what the journey has been, just doing the research, looking into myself, like just learning about myself, and what it all means. Like I said, we spoke the other day, and like I identify as intersex, and that's one that's a gender that doesn't really get talked about too often. But you know, I that's the identi- identity that I relate to the most.
Mhm.
Because physically, I've always been different from other females. I shaved now, but you can see the 5 o'clock shadows growing in. And if you watch some of the other random thoughts episodes, you can see like the full beard coming in. And my body has always been different. I've always been a stronger female. Athletically, I've excelled. Um, Even when I used to, get ready for school, and I would, bathe with my mother, and I would ask questions like, why do my body parts look so different from yours?
Hmm.
And she would tell me, every woman's different. And I'm like, I don't know if they look like me. you know, I've never seen this before. So, I, it's been about, embracing my uniqueness. And I talked about this in another random thoughts episode as well, but just embracing my uniqueness, and what makes that uniqueness that makes me special, and makes me stand out from other people. And I think it also along the way has helped people that may not have made friends with someone who's queer. It's
Mhm.
made them like come up and ask me questions, because I'm a very open person. When people ask, oh, is it okay if I ask you about such and such? Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to have that conversation. And it just brings people in, and it brings us close as humans overall. It
Mhm.
brings us all closer together. Um and then the more I see that, the more I embrace the beauty within myself. So just kind of even going through, like I said, going through all the tribulations that I've been through, because I've been made fun of as well. I've had people call me the F word. I've been called a boy, and it's been used against me, and I've been bullied, and guys have tried to beat me up, and you know um I've been through all of that stuff. And it's still, even to this day, like I have resistance, every once in a while. But again, I don't let it bother me, because I'm quite comfortable in my own skin, and I understand who I am, and I understand that there are people out there that find me beautiful, no matter what anyone else, thinks of me. But I think I'm beautiful too. So,
I love
you know,
that. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, and Virginia Slim says, "Thanks for sharing, Steph. LOL, I must have missed that breakdown of random thoughts." And yeah, thank you, Virginia Slim. And yeah, I mean, I think the power of knowing who you are so strongly has certainly helped you to move through the world. It sounds like, right? But that it doesn't sound like it's always been easy. And but but I mean, I applaud you, one, for always being so honest, for being so authentically you and showing up, and you're an aura, right? You are, like, everyone is. I believe that was exactly what the lyric said, is people are just drawn to you, right? So you exuding all that you're saying, and it is the truth. It's for real. And but I think, your story, as you said, right, helps others to grow from it. And I know there's youth, there's adults, there's a lot of people who identity is that struggle, right? Like, who I am is not something everyone embraces of themselves. And a lot of that sometimes comes from the way other people perceive. So you kind of mentioned, the idea that you've had to work against other people's reactions to you. And I mean, have there been, are there particular, like, assumptions and kind of, those judgments that you get that have impacted you more so than others?
um, I think, I mean, just the idea, again, I'm sure we're gonna bring up the clip too, but yeah, just I was just thinking about this recently. When people tell me, "Oh, you're not a man," and it's like, yeah, thanks. Thank you for stating the obvious. I know, I'm not a man. And like that's like assuming that I want to be like
Mm,
a man is not what I'm that's not how I operate. That's not how my mind operates. Do I identify with certain parts of masculinity? I do. That is a part of my makeup. That is a part of who I am, and that's something that I don't run away from or shy away from. And I understand that, you know certain people in the world are going to perceive me at face value as a male. Um, and so, in certain situations, I have to operate as such,
mm,
just for survival's sake. I mean, I'm always going to be me, but like I said, that I have to tap into that part of the part that is masculine to be able to navigate and move through this society. Like, if I'm threatened, I'm not going to be like, someone help me, call 911.
mm,
Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not my reaction. My response is going to be, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down. I'm gonna puff up my chest and I'm gonna be like, let's go. Like, if I have to square
mm,
up, we're gonna have to square up. If I get knocked out, I might get knocked out, but you're gonna know that I'm standing here holding my own. Like, you're gonna understand. Like, I'm not
mm.
anything to be trifled with. Like, that's the side that I'm gonna have to, you know, um, tap into in that particular
Yeah.
scenario. Hey, what's up, Adviz? What's
What's
up?
up, Advis?
What's
Peace and
up,
one love,
Tiffany?
fam. What's up, Tiffany? Thank you for pulling up. But I
Love you.
think, you know what, like, that's such a good example of how comfortable you are in your own skin, right? Like, I think to be able to move in whatever direction you need to, whether it's to protect or to be soft and loving and caring and vulnerable, right? Like, it's whatever it is for you and what you need.
Right.
But what we're talking about, right, is that, but people's perception is always different, right? And how people perceive and receive things doesn't always sit well, for us individually. Like, and
Right.
and I want to bring up a clip from a conversation because you and I had a conversation on this, and let's unpack this a little bit, right? So there was I think it was 2 episodes ago. Random Thoughts had you had a guest on, and actually when your co-host made a comment, and we're actually going to bring up the clip, I think, and I'm not going to speak more. I'm going to let you set it up a little bit better than me, and then we can watch this clip a little bit.
You know, they get whatever women they can. You might have a few that may luck out, but for the most part, women date up. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that men need to realize. You know what I'm saying? And then as far as the women, you know what I'm saying, who will not accept the truth. What? I don't care. No. Okay. Women date up. For the most part. If you try to look at my life and see some of them. Steph, you are a rarity. You are a rarity. All right. Like, why is it triggering you? Because
Stephanie, you can't speak the same thing because no offense, you're not a man.
No, but
it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter how you look. At the end of the day, you got titties under there.
So, that seems like a small thing, right? But again, like exactly what you said, I want to know what was going through your mind and how were you feeling in that moment? I think, and I want to preface this in that, so you are the only woman on a all male co-hosted podcast called Random Thoughts, and that in itself is a whole dynamic. But there's moments where I feel like I've seen you and I'm like, whoa, how'd she take that? Right? Like I myself have been feeling things. So tell me a little bit about that moment and what was happening for you.
Well, and I don't know. So in that particular clip, yeah, Lyrics was making this was in the breaking down the MGTOW phenomenon episode, which was aired last week, and Lyrics was making a point and saying that from his assessment, from his point of view, he has found that women when in dating situations they tend to date up. As
I'm actually
financially up.
Stop you there only because I know that the last time we played it, the sound was a little bad. We're going to play it one more time. So that's the setup. That's what Lyric was saying. And then we're going to come back and talk about why we brought this clip in.
Women date up? Are you?
For the most part.
Have you not looked at my life and seen the women that I've dated? Some of them have.
Steph, you are a rarity. You are a rarity. All right.
The point is that it's
like, why is it triggering you? Because I'm not talking.
Stephanie, you can't speak the same thing because no offense, you're not a man.
No. I just keep laughing at that part. Well, one, I love this shirt, by the way. I know I was wearing the same shirt in the clip. Yeah, I made this shirt.
I love it.
We'll get into that later. But yeah, what was going through. First of all, the young lady that responded and said, you're not a man, and you're different because you have. Can I curse or say anything?
Yeah, go ahead, girl.
Yeah, because you have titties. No
problem.
Like, I just wanted to make sure I was safe. But one, that person does know me personally. But the other thing is, and I when I had made my initial comment, I wasn't trying to put it on myself per se, but I was trying to relate to Lyrics and tell him like, look, I'm not. Some people would say I'm not much to look at. I've been called ugly. I've been told that I'm not, that much of a, not much to look at, and so on and so forth. And however, looking at my life and the people that I've dated, yeah, you wouldn't think so. Like you wouldn't think I've had those comments made. So I was just telling, like, Lyrics knows me personally, and he knows, he has been around when I've dated my share of women. I say that sheepishly, but it's true. It's true. And when the other young lady made that comment, it was to me, I took it as, oh, you're trying to, you know, you're trying to you're trying to pull emotions out of me, uh, for one. And I guess she felt like she was trying to make a point by making that statement. And honestly, when Lyrics made that statement, he said women date up. He didn't make a distinction. That was his statement. Like, women across the board. Uh,
I have to say, Steph got them smooth talking skills to pair with that angelic voice. She does.
Oh,
She does. Oh, and it's always on point because even in that moment, right? Again, like you were triggered. You were triggered kind of by both people, but you like smoothly come in and you explain your thinking. Like you always come off with so much grace.
yeah.
Which I love. I love.
I
I'm watching it. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Oh man, I just you know what I with me I don't I do have I mean it's okay to have emotions. Like, people feel like emotions are a weakness or a vulnerability, and it's like, no. I mean, as long as you have an understanding of why you feel the way you feel, and you're able to express that, or even look at it and say, you know what, I need to I need to respond in a way that where people understand, pardon me, that it's not coming from, an emotional place. I could still, you know, I could still respond logically. And that was me responding logically. Like, yeah, it was a little triggering, but at the same time it was like I peeked what was going on. And so I wanted to stick to the argument itself. Like, no, it's not about me like wanting to be a man, and I don't want to be a man. I want to be me. I always want to be me. It's not about that. You're trying to move the conversation somewhere else because you want to trigger me emotionally. Usually, like I said, someone says that they want to, circumvent, the point, and I wanted to stick to the point. Like, no, he made this statement. He's talking about women across the board. Doesn't matter if they're dating men, women, trans, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are. He's talking about women in general dating up. Not He never mentioned anything about, you know, dating men or
Right.
what have you. It was a blanket statement. So yeah, I'm gonna respond to it in that way. Yeah.
But so I think, what, though, to me it's interesting that you said that, is that it was said, and you know the dynamics of who said it and everything better, but I think,
Right.
like, there's also a lot of people who might say something like that and not even realize that it is an emotional trigger, right? So, like,
Mhm.
you use logic to process it, to talk it through, but there was emotions that came up, and I think part of why I brought it into the space is I think that it is about those stories that we tell to help people understand. And I think you said it earlier, right? Like, it's like expanding people's understanding of what things impact others, what messages they might be giving out with the words that they're saying, with the things that they're saying, whether they understand it or not. And
Mhm.
Tiffany says Steph's always been analytical and fact based. That's great, and it comes in handy in the show. And I want to say, Random Thoughts is an amazing show. I mean, like, it's you gotta watch it. It's a vibe. The energy, they're laughing, they're having a great time. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of cursing going on. Like, definitely don't watch it with your kids.
Especially from
Like,
Lyrics.
I
Especially
might have
from Lyrics.
I
Oh
might
my
have
god.
made that error for a second. I was like, oh, let me put you on headphones now. But
It's a
but
good
it's
thing
a
it's on
great.
Sundays because it is
It,
not safe for work.
it is
It
no.
is.
Oh God, no, 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 not safe for work. But I love it because y'all bring, some learning along with some hilarious stories that definitely make for good good conversation later.
Oh
But
man.
so let's move a little bit. And actually,
Mhm.
before we do, we have a commercial for my well, we talk about artistry. I'm a writer, and I actually also created a blog, and I just recently posted something. So we're gonna take a quick break to hear a little bit about my blog and how it came to be, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more with Stephanie. Hi, my name is Maria, but you are soon going to know me as Brown Girl Interrupting. And what I mean by that is that very soon, hopefully, you're going to be following my blog. I am a writer, and I started writing because I was married, I had children, and then my life changed when I separated, and I did a lot of learning and reflecting and growing in that process of change, because change always leads us to that. And I've decided to share that with the rest of the world, because sometimes hearing that someone else is going through the same thing as you, or understanding and putting words to the feelings and experiences we're having, helps us to heal from them, or grow from them, or learn from them. And so that's what my blog is. It's writing about life, healing, relationships, parenting, dating, marriage, pain, love, mistakes, growth, and coming out whole still in all of it as a human, flawed, but always open to new things. So that's my life, that's my journey, and it's written in this blog. But my hope is that you are going to go to www.browngirlinterrupting.com and join and subscribe to the blog and read all about my story to help you maybe gain some perspective on yours. All right. So yeah, that's my blog. And as I said, unlike Stephanie, I don't hold until the gash is healed. I let go early on. It might be like a little premature sometimes, but that's me. I authentically share my story. I do it on my blog. So please go follow www.browngirlinterrupting.com, just right up there. The links are all down here as well. I actually recently, literally yesterday, I was trying to get ahead of the game, posted something. It's a raw one. It's a real one, and it's called "Awakening to the Games He Played." And before that, my other post was called "She's a Runner, She's a Track Star." So please go check out my pieces. Share if you like them. Pass them along. Make sure that you put your email in so you get all the recent posts as they come out. I plan to put a lot more out there in the next few months coming up. And make sure that you like and you comment and share your thoughts. So, and Stephanie, I know you've been awesome about reading some of the pieces and sharing your thoughts, and I really appreciate that. So I want to kind of like transition. This is Pain to Power, Leading with Love. We talked about the pain and the power, leading. So I'm gonna start this off with, I had a very interesting conversation with some people in my office this week, and we talked about this idea that what you value becomes what you believe as a leader, and what you believe as a leader become the behaviors of you as a leader. So I was wanting to think about, like, for you as a leader, right? You have this business, you're a CEO, you are creating this community of people, you are leading in all these different spaces through your art, through your products, through your messages. What is your key, like, core value? Like, what is those important things to you, and how do those impact the way that you then show up in your beliefs and the things that you're doing as a leader?
I always want to operate in a way where I want to bring other people in. As far as core values, I always, like, I'm a very loyal person, especially when you show that you are capable and you're present, just as present as I am. in situations. I definitely respect that. I also respect. I'm always someone that uh, works for respect. I always, I do my best to show up, in the best possible, in the best possible light and manner that I can, as a leader. And I always want to be someone that is reliable. Like if you need me, um, to show up, I will, show up and do the best I can. But I really, I want all of those characteristics and all of those things to foster, collaboration. Because in order to be a good leader, you have to be someone who is able to collaborate. And like I learned that from when I was a supervisor, with my day job. Um, I learned a lot about that. When I first took on the job, I didn't realize how important that was, because me, I was just, with my job, I was just a workhorse. Like someone gave me something to do, I would do it, and I would do it to the very best of my ability. I would make sure all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed. That's the kind of person I was. And then once I moved into the position of a supervisor, I learned over time that I have a team. Like I need to rely on this team to achieve this particular goal. Uh, and I have to I have to utilize people's skill sets to achieve this goal that we have every day, which is to make sure people are safe. When they come, see, I work for Department of Homeland Security. Um, so I have to make sure people are traveling safely, and nothing gets through, and so on and so forth. So as a supervisor, I had to make sure, okay, oh, this is your particular expertise. I need you to take care of this. Oh, this is your particular area of expertise. You handle this, and then I check in and make sure things are handled. And just even with the creative end, when I'm working on music, and even working with random thoughts, and even doing my artwork, like I find the collaboration the most beautiful aspect of working on other projects with other people, hearing other people's ideas, hearing what they bring to the table, and we're all putting in whatever skill set we have to achieve this goal. Excuse me, pardon me. Ooh, the coffee. Um,
Coffee.
so
But
what were you gonna say?
no, I love that, and I was just thinking that comes out though in the work. Collaboration is key, right? Like that, and I would say that's probably one of my values too, right? Like is the collective. So everything, and just like you, right? Like us taking our professional spaces and our creative personal spaces, right? Like all of it aligns with that value of what that means.
Right.
And I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit, because I think you and I had a great conversation about the essay "A Thousand True Fans." I think that really outlines what you just said, and I'd love to have you share a little bit about what that means to you. So when you think about fans and what you've learned and what your goal is about having a following, and having people who are buying your merchandise and showing up for your shows, and there to buy your music, what that looks like for you. So if you can talk a little bit more about that in terms of your lens.
So as far as once I did enter in or start my career as a singer, songwriter, producer, um I initially, when I was younger, it was like, oh, I want a record deal, like I want to be able to be financed and travel the world, and all that. But then I realized over time that I didn't necessarily want fame. I wanted to be able to. I had to be a little more realistic. So I kind of reeled it in, and I realized like what I want is to be able to pay and finance my music, live a comfortable life, be able to travel, as much and as often as I can. And I want to be able. I want to with my fans. I want to cultivate a relationship with them. I don't want to be like a Megan Thee Stallion or Ariana Grande or I don't want to. I don't necessarily need millions and millions of fans to make my dreams come true. Like if it even if I have like a few thousand fans, like I'm perfectly fine with that. And as when we talked about 1,000 true fans, I believe it's a Stephen Levy. I'm trying to remember the
Oh, is
author's
it
name.
Stephen Covey?
Yes,
Is that who it is? Stephen
I
Covey.
believe so. Yeah, but we talked about 1,000 true fans, and basically he was talking about fostering a deeper relationship with your fans, and having that relationship where you all could speak to each other, and you could call each other, you could speak to each other on a first name basis, or call each other by your first names and whatnot, and like you could have like dinners with these people or go out to lunch with them, and have that kind of relationship. And I would love to have that kind of relationship with my fans, and I do. I've had fans invite me to their baby showers, their weddings, um, and that's awesome that they're comfortable enough to be like, hey, come to the
Mm-hmm.
wedding or come to this banquet, and have fun with my family, meet the rest of my, the people that mean the world to me. And that's the kind of relationship I want to have. And so in that essay, they talk about, having like, you have 1,000 like loyal fans that care and actually love you, to the point where they'll pay, $100 a year to to finance your career and your dream. And if you have 1,000 true fans that pay $100 a year, that's $100,000 a year.
There you go. Yeah.
So it can be as simple as that. Even though that's not necessarily like simple, but it's I mean simple in the scheme of you know someone having like 25 million fans, and some of them are like casual, and others are a little more active. And I'd rather have fans that are like, I believe in your vision, I believe in what you're doing.
Mm.
you know that's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I want.
meaningful. Those are meaningful relationships with your fans, though. And I love that. And I think, honestly, it inspires me. When you told me about it, I was like, oh, yeah, that. And I have to say, and I apologize, you gave a shout out, but I didn't give a proper shout out. Our producer, amazing, Cha Logic, Mr. M. He is in here. He is in the background doing all the fancy stuff and making this work and make it happen. But I will say that we are part of a network. We are part of the Ranters Union, and that is very much about collectively coming together, supporting each other, and honoring our fans, right? Like we saw a lot of folks in here who have followed from Random Thoughts. They're on here supporting you and supporting me. I think I got a couple followers while we were sitting here. I saw my phone start blowing up. So
Nice.
that's the real deal. I think, right? Like when we talk about leading, to me, so much of this show is that it's transforming, one, how we think about pain and power, but it's also transforming how we think about leading, because
Right.
there's so many skewed messages out there of what it is to be strong, what it is to lead others, what it is to follow others, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it really is Ubuntu for me, right? I am because we are. Like, it is all about community and
Right.
collective. So we are closing out a little bit, but before we do, I want to ask you one last question. And
Hmm.
then definitely plug in new stuff you got going on, and we're going to do that. But if you had a message to your younger Stephanie self of some things you've learned, let's pick like two things you've learned. What are some of the things that you would say to young Stephanie?
I would tell young Stephanie. Well, one, this is one thing I say all the time. You know, people people oftentimes don't, especially in my life, like people oftentimes don't see with their eyes, they don't hear with their ears, they don't necessarily use their senses. Like they don't see with their, they don't see with their eyes, they see with their perceptions. And that's something I've reminded myself all the time. Like, again, they see me, they see, a man, or they see this masculine, individual. Some people even see a trans person. So people would see with their perceptions, and you have to be understanding of that. I think that that has reminded me that you have to have a grasp of humanity, the humanity of others, and you have to be understanding and come from a place where you can meet them in the middle and help them to understand where you are and what the situation actually is. So that's one thing I would tell myself, like, be understanding, be loving, have, it's okay to have your heart open, because it leads to deeper conversation, and it leads to both parties taking away something, a lesson. I would say the other thing, wow, that I would tell my younger self is, that you're, no matter what, you're beautiful. No matter what anyone else says to you, or no matter what anyone else thinks of you, um, it only matters, what you think of yourself. And I think that will resonate. And I guess that's where that aura comes from. It's like, no, no matter what, no matter what anyone says to me, like there's, I know the truth. And I know what kind of impact I've had on people. And I have enough confidence in myself to know that, you know, no weapons or words formed against me shall prosper. I don't usually take much
Got the
from the
barriers
Bible,
up.
but
Nope.
yeah, but I think that's appropriate for this particular situation. I just, words don't hurt me anymore. Like, they really don't. It's like, what can you say? I've done so much, with this life. I've accomplished so much in this lifetime. What can you say to me that would break me down?
That's
So
powerful.
that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, continue to be brave and beautiful, because you are.
Those are great messages. Those are great messages, and I think the beauty of choices, right, is that we continue to get to make the choices to follow the messages of whether or not we did when we were younger. So
Mm.
before we close out, uh, any new projects on the horizon, or any current projects you want to share? Where can everybody go and find out? I know we got your website below, but what other things does your fans and your new fans, who obviously are now following you from my group and my crew, what do they need to know about Stephanie?
Right now I am in the studio actively working on new songs, and I should have something out for the holidays. I'm planning on releasing at least one new single this year. I've been relatively quiet this year because I recently moved back to, my home state of Maryland, where you and I are both from.
DMV.
Maryland in the building, yeah. DMV in here, but I've taken the time to get accustomed to my new change of lifestyle. It's been a learning experience. But I've been working on the creative side. I've been doing a lot of, like I said, random thoughts, Eric and I share responsibility of creating the promo for the show. I actually did the last one, the one for the today's episode that aired.
When do people check out Random Thoughts? When does it come on?
So you can check out Random
You know,
Thoughts. Yes, almost every Sunday. There we do take a break. I think we're gonna take a break at the end of November, but every Sunday at 3 p.m. Uh, Eastern Standard Time or noon Pacific Standard Time here on the Ranters Union and also our official Random Thoughts Talk series YouTube page, Facebook, and also Twitch. So you can check us out there and get to know us a little bit more. It's a great space. We foster a lot of good times and a lot of as a lot lyrics would say a lot of fuckery.
A
So
lot of fuckery, but it's hilarious fuckery, y'all. You gotta come. You
it's a
gotta
lot
come
of
and
fun.
see.
So yeah, so I have that, and also I'm working on a couple other projects creatively, but I will have new music next year. Um, like I said, I wanted to take the time to get myself settled and get acclimated to my new schedule and my new life. But check out my older material as well. Check out Songs About V. It's not that old. It's probably a couple years old. But check out Songs About V. That's my first LP. If you want to go even further back, you can check out my material under my old name, Steph the Sapphic Songstress. I put out an EP called the Sapphic Soul EP, so you can get to know a little bit more about me and how I was back then. Um, and you can also check out if you want to get into the holiday spirit. Um, you can check out my two volumes of Christmas at 7222, volumes 1 and volumes 2. Those are also available. And yeah, you can go to
And
the
all of
website.
those are in your website. So when you go
Yeah.
to Stephanie's website, you go to the link below, you'll see everything because she has them all there. They're all linked. You can go straight to them. You get a link. I love it. You got a nice little teaser, and then you know where to go to get the real, the full
Exactly.
situation.
And I
And
updated
we
everything
didn't get to
recently.
talk about it. We talked about your sweatshirt for a second, but I just want to say she's got some dope merchandise. I am looking at that laptop sleeve that says I loved it. It's got your line from vulnerable is it's okay to be vulnerable. It's part of the deal when you have a soul. I need to
Yes.
be carrying that around all the time because I am vulnerable. Even if I'm not showing it, I'm always feeling it. So thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, your authenticity, and your aura, of course.
And thank you for your
And
aura. Yeah.
well, I appreciate it. This was great and so much fun. And to all of our ranters family, our randos, and I saw Tiffany, I saw you in there. The randers are in the
Yes.
building. Yes. To everyone, please make sure you are following Stephanie on Instagram, on TikTok, on her website, and you are following me, Brown Girl Interrupting. I am sharing my story all the time. I got all kinds of TikToks and Instagram. And so definitely follow us, share, connect, and continue to make those choices. So choose humanity, choose understanding, choose collective consciousness and growing. And hopefully that means you're going to choose me and Brown Girl Interrupting and Pain to Power every Sunday at 9 o'clock after you watch Random Thoughts at 3 o'clock. And you are going to be here again for stories of pain to power and leading with love. So next week, October 29th, I am featuring Brandon White from the Unbound Ed family. Any of my friends out there who are my Unbound Ed family, he is a podcaster and a educator, and he creates the podcast called Complexion of Teaching and Learning. And let me tell you, it digs deep into the history of teaching and learning and race and culture and all the impacts that systemic racism has had. So we're going to have a great conversation with Brandon next Sunday at 9 o'clock. Please tune in and make sure you're following us. So Have an amazing evening. Thank you so much. Thank you to my Ranchers family, the Ranchers Union, to everyone who showed up, and of course to Ja Logic, the amazing producer behind the scenes and who makes it all happen. So have a great evening. We appreciate you all here. Thanks again, Stephanie, for showing up and being on episode 1 to kick it all off.
Thank you. Thank you
all right.
for having
Have a great
me.
evening. Peace, love, and light, folks.
Peace.
You may know me, but do you really know me? Are you willing to take the time to know who I am? So many layers to uncover. Are you ready to go that deep? See, the ones that truly know me understand the very core of me. I'm a good woman with a good heart, most fail to see. I invite you to take a minute, to not use your eyes, but use your heart to see. Don't be afraid, it's okay. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to be scared, to be hurt, to be broken. It's part of the deal when you have a soul. It's time to let it go. It's time to face another day. You may never find the answers to the questions inside you, but perhaps it's better to know you'll be okay. Yeah. Truly hurt me more than you ever know. I never knew pain so real could pierce this deep. To a point where I couldn't move, completely numb to any other feeling. Yeah. Now I hope this burden on me. My friends don't even recognize me. I stare into the mirror and view an empty shell of who I used to be. And pain is in everything I say or do. I wonder if the love I felt will return to me. Hey, hey, hey. But for now I'll be okay. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to be scared, to be hurt, to be broken. It's part of the deal when you have a soul. It's time to let it go. It's time to face another day. Hey, you may never find the answers to the questions inside you, but perhaps it's better to know be okay. Yeah, yeah. To know that I'm stronger than they say I am. That even in defeat I can take a stand. To recognize that loss can also lead to gain. That the sun can still shine even in the rain. I may be down now, but I'm far from out. Even in the face of despair,